What's up, everybody? Josh Tapp here again, and welcome back to the Lucky Titan. And today we have a really fun guest. I'm very excited. If you're watching this on video, you can already tell she's fun by the colors. First, I love the design. It's beautiful. But I'm really excited to have Erin with us here today. So this is Erin. I didn't even ask you how to pronounce your last name, Erin. That was one thing I never found in my research. Is it Diehl? Dale?
You could call. I've been called worse. No, it's Deal, but it's
Deal.
like Deal. So I do have. This is an easy way to remember. I have a 7-pound toy poodle. His first name is Big, middle initials FN, last name Deal. So yes, just remember, like Big Deal, Big Deal.
Thank you for censoring. I appreciate it. There are kids.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That was one of my main questions in our pre-interview. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to ask you that, but I forgot. So here you are, Erin Diehl.
You're nailing it.
I've learned so much about Erin. Really excited to have her on, and you all know this. You know, anybody who's listening to this, we have a pretty serious vetting process to bring people on the show now, because we get like 200 inquiries a week right now of, hey, can I come on the show? And I'd love to interview you all, but I love the ones who are so different. And what Erin does is she works with entrepreneurs, helping them leverage improv in just a really fun way. And I'm going to like butcher your business. I'd love to have you kind of tell us a little bit about what you do, like in a 30-second nutshell, and then we'll dive into process.
Yes. Okay. So very quick, very simple. We help leaders and teams using play, laughter, improv, and experiential learning. That's it. And we train them on power skills. So we're really big in the B2B space, but we've worked with startups, small business, anything in between. And it is a absolute joy to be able to do the work that I do and bring it to people who need it.
Love it. Love that. The part to me that got me so excited about this is because I knew I would enjoy this interview, because I could laugh and have fun. Some people, it's just like beating your head on the wall. They're just so serious, right? But the way that I look at business in general is like, if you're not having fun, it's not even worth doing, because it's really fun. My wife makes fun of me all the time because I would rather be working than going on vacation or doing other things, because it's so fun to me. So I'm curious, Erin, when we dive into this topic of actually leveraging improv and humor and happiness and fun into business, how do you help people who are a little bit more, I'm going to be crass here, but they have a stick up their butt, right? How do you help somebody like that?
The old stick up the butt. So yes, first and foremost, we have a saying in improv, and it is, if you're not having fun, you're the jerk. Okay. You could use any other word for that, but again, kid friendly. I'm saying kid friendly here. So you're welcome. You are welcome. So really what that means is, it's like you go to a party, right? And you have a choice. You could walk in the room and you can decide, I'm going to have a great time and I'm going to laugh, I'm going to meet some new people, or you can stand in the corner and eat guacamole, right? And your chips and dip. And if you see another group of people having fun, you're like, oh, that looks exciting. I wish I could do that, but you hold yourself back. Improv is such a beautiful teaching tool because it helps first of all, it levels the playing field. So you could have an intern, you can have a CEO in the same room, and everyone is on the same playing field because no one has any idea what's about to happen, right? So with that, our goal and every goal in every workshop, anything we do, is never to make somebody stand on stage, bark like a dog. It's never to embarrass them. It is to leverage the group. It is to create group mind. It is to allow everybody to lower these inhibitions that we bring and these sort of hypothetical masks that we wear to work, and take them off and just allow ourselves to play. So when we have the old stick up the butt, one of the things we do is we set the tone. First and foremost, we create this safe space in the beginning. Everything we do is designed to go from a low risk activity to a high risk activity. And I can always tell who the stick up the butt will be. But by the end, it's like, if they're choosing to not participate and you've got 20 people in a room, 19 are having fun, and this other person is choosing to sit out, that's your own fault, right? And they are looked at differently by their peers because of it. So it is a positive teaching tool that allows for people to really experience and connect with each other in such a different way.
Yeah. Well, and putting themselves out there in a way that they can actually open themselves to connection. What's funny is in our company, obviously doing a lot of copywriting with what we do, for podcasts and whatnot, I have found for myself that if I want to make a serious point and I want to be just on point, I will wake up in the morning. I don't talk to anybody and I listen to like epic music, right? Like the Batman soundtrack or something, right? And I'll write while I'm listening to that music and it comes off as just bam, powerful. But if I do that before I hop on an interview, I have a stick up my butt, right? I'm so just, okay, let's be serious, And so I have two guys in the office. They don't know this, but like half the reason I hired them is because they're funny and it's fun to go talk to them. So I will go into the office with everybody in there and I'll just start talking with them, joking with them before I'll come in and copyright, because it allows me to be more fun and friendly and it changes that whole energy. And I'm curious, like, Erin, the way that you do it in a workshop level. How would you help somebody who's doing this with their own team to elevate the whole team to that level?
Oh my God. There's so many ways. So first and foremost, I always say this, your energy as a leader, it affects your entire team, right? And I always have this story where, I was the worst morning person. Before I would come into work, I used to live in Chicago. Okay. I would get on the train. I'd have to stand in somebody else's armpit riding the L to work, which is a really fun experience. Then I would get off. I've had to walk 10 minutes. I'd go into Starbucks and I would get a coffee. I had a client of mine. This is before I started Improve It. Okay. Actually, no, this is when I was in Improve It. She was in our building and she saw me in the Starbucks coffee line and she said, Erin, I didn't say hi to you. I saw you Thursday morning. I didn't say hi to you because you look so angry. The energy I brought to my office in the mornings was awful. It was awful. So I had to learn to redirect that. And I actually have a very specific morning routine that I live and die by, because it is, without that, I cannot bring the energy that I want to my team, because the energy that I bring to them affects the tone of everything that we do. So really, I always tell leaders, it starts with you. It is your choice for the way you want to show up. So I love that, Josh, you hired these two people because you're like, I want you to help me show up differently, right? But we have so many tips and tricks up our sleeve that we use to help break down barriers, to allow people to feel safe, to share ideas, to break, for lack of a better word, I hate the term icebreaker, but to break the ice and to really allow people to just show up as their true selves. And it's through that true authenticity that when you show up and you are actually a happy human being, you radiate and you magnetize and attract that same energy. So the fact that you knew these two people were supposed to be in your life because you wanted more of that positivity, you attracted that, Josh, in some way, shape, or form. And then that's, you've created a culture because of that positive energy that you want to emulate and you want to give off. So there's so many, I could literally give so many examples, but high level, it's show up with your energy first, because you can't expect the same in return unless you're giving it out.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's funny is I love your story, right, of how you show up, because I learned that very early on having a team. If I came in and I was having a bad day, the whole office had a bad day. The sales team, the fulfillment team, the marketing, everybody was just bleh, right?
Right.
And luckily we have these couple, energizer bunnies who come in and help, raise the levels. But even that, they will have an energy dousing, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But for me showing up that way and being here, I've made it my goal in life. I don't listen to podcasts on the way to work anymore. I listen to like fun, exciting music so that I can walk in and be like, yeah, we're here, right? Ready to go. And getting people excited. And that's actually helped a lot. And I think it's the same thing with podcasts. And those of you who listen to the show, I bet you could go back to the episodes and find the ones where I didn't do that, because my energy is so low in some of the episodes. It's embarrassing. But you know what? I'll tell you all this. We post it even if I suck. So
that's right. Progress, not perfection. You're doing it. You're failfluencing. That's what I call failfluencing.
Yes, that's funny, because that's exactly where I want to take the conversation next, because I love this. So failfluencing, define that for us.
Yes. So, there's influencers. There's all of those things. all the things that come with influencing, you can still do while failfluencing. So this is sort of how this came to be. I started telling you about this before we hit record, but prior to 2020, Improve It was a completely in-person business. The only thing we had digital was our e-learning course that comes in conjunction with our workshops. So you have to do it in person to get this e-learning course. So business went completely upside down in March of 2020. We had to very quickly pivot to become a virtual company to stay afloat. Through that, I decided I had, my LinkedIn was public, but all my other social channels were very private. And so I decided, you know what? There's like thousands of hundreds of other people who are going through this, business owners, entrepreneurs. I'm going to show up as authentically as I possibly can. So I made my account public, my Instagram. The first picture I posted was a picture of me, just like literally, I have fake eyelashes. I had lost like 70 fake eyelashes from crying. I looked like Kim Kardashian's ugly cry face, like when she lost her diamond earrings in the ocean. I mean, I was disgusting. Okay. And I said, I'm going to show up as real as I possibly can here. And I've not a clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to fail my way through this. One of the biggest rules of improv is there are no mistakes, only gifts. So it was through that through line that I really embraced this notion of failure and brought that into my company. I allowed failure to be a part of the conversation. We every quarter had failure parties. So instead of celebrating we wouldn't make a vision board, we would make a failure board, and we would celebrate the things that we failed at that quarter because we wanted to show that we were trying, we were innovating. If I could name 10 different things that we came up with in 2020 that we would have never come up with if we weren't forced to due to the pandemic. All of them were digital. Some of them are still here. Some of them very quickly went away because they sucked. It was just, it just became liberating to say, I'm failfluencing. I'm going to fail through this, and you're going to watch me fail and fall on my face, and that's okay. I created a mastermind. Not a single person showed up. Let me tell you that for free. And so it went away. Did anybody care? No. Did I care? No. I was relieved actually, because I wanted to put my energy and time somewhere else. So it is the most liberating thing that I could have thought of at the time to describe what we were going through, what I as a leader was going through. And I still failfluence every single day, every day.
Do it. Get it.
Do it.
Okay. This is a totally like minutia question. You said there are no failures, only gifts with a T or GIFS.
Oh, I like where you're at. You could make gifts or gifts. So there's no mistakes, only gifts. And what that means on stage as an improviser is when you're creating a scene. So in improv, we make up everything on the spot, right? So let's say you and I are on stage together and we're doing a virtual show, and I spill my coffee on my keyboard and I'm like, oh crap, And so instead of like just allowing that to sit there, that becomes a part of our conversation. So I'd be like, oh craps. Craps is my favorite game to play in Vegas. Josh, have you ever been to Vegas? I think we should plan a trip for all your listeners, And so it's like, it becomes a part of the conversation. It doesn't just sit there and people are like, what happened? Why did she say crap? It becomes a part of the scene. And that's just one of the biggest takeaways I learned in my improv career was everything that happens is going to become a part of the scene of your life. And it's up to you. You have two choices. You can control your attitude and your effort. So bring those two things into the fold and allow it to be a part of it, because like you said, you love stories, right? It becomes a part of your story. That story, when you get through it, there's no testimony without the test, right? So that test is what is going to continue to make you grow as a human being, as a leader, an entrepreneur, whatever it may be. So really, it's those moments where we fail that we learn the most. And I really leaned into this in the past 2 years, and it's been life-changing.
Yeah. I love that. It's funny because, we coach a lot of people in podcasting, and I'd have you come and like teach that group. So we'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
there's kind of this line with podcasting when you work with entrepreneurs is we feel like we need to be professional. And professional just means impersonal. Like people don't like you when you're quote unquote professional. And we've worked with so many different brands who try to be professional. And they are the ones who fail the worst. And it's interesting because in podcasting, I try to practice what I preach with this, but I had a guy come on my show, totally mistook him for somebody else who has the exact same name as him. Rand Fishkin, that's his name. He's actually a pretty famous guy. I totally did my research on somebody else. And my intro for him was like 30 seconds of me saying how amazing he was. And he gets to the end, he's like, well, none of those things are actually true about me. Here's my actual bio. And he went on with it. And then I could have wiped that out and pulled it away. But we talked as a team. We're like, let's leave it in. Let's make it transparent. Because like I failed so bad in front of a very famous guy. And quite embarrassing for me. But then we just kept the conversation going. And I was grateful for my team being willing to say, let's keep it. And it's become one of the most listened to episodes. And I think it's because of that, because people they look at it and they go, okay, you totally just failed right there. If you can do it, so can I, right?
That's it. Okay. Yes. I love that. And you know what? It's liberating. After you allowed yourself to put that episode out, did you feel more liberated? Did you personally feel
very much so.
Yeah.
I think that episode was a pivotal moment for me when I realized, because we really didn't edit a lot of them before, but I'm like, if I make a mistake, I don't have to start over. I don't have just run with it. Right. Totally. I forgot your name at the beginning of this interview, your last name. I'm like, that was the question I forgot.
It's okay. It's okay. You're Failfluencing and who cares? And I don't care. I forgot about it. So you just said it. And here's the other thing. This is an anomaly as an improviser, but I'm a very type A person. And as I started my business, was a lot of perfectionism that I had to let go of. And, now I can say done's better than perfect. But back then I was like, no, perfect has to be it, right? So now I say I'm a recovering perfectionist turned Failfluencer. There's moments where I will have, those same things. Like, so for example, yesterday, I was telling you this before we hit record, I had to get out some client emails and I copy and pasted a few templates and I forgot to change the name of a company. And one of my clients called me out and she said, I will definitely talk with you this week, but you called me the wrong, you put the wrong company in this email. I'm pretty sure you were copy and pasting. And she died. Like she knew I would hate it because she knows that I'm a recovering perfectionist. This is a very close contact of mine. So she's like, I said, oh my God, I wrote her back, my cheeks are so pink. And instead of making an excuse, I just ran with it and made, some self-deprecating comments. And she wrote me back and she goes, I knew you would die. And she's like, LOL. Like because she knows me, right? So it was just so funny that even just that little comment could set me off so much. But my old Erin would have relished and be like, oh, you idiot, and just really sat there and sulked and given myself. But now I'm just like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm fine. She's still going to talk with me. We're talking today. Like I sent that email yesterday, right. And it's okay to make these mistakes because first of all, Josh, also with you have an awesome podcast. You have grown this audience. You have a fantastic show. So you made a mistake. You're showing other people that you can be human. And that's exactly what Failfluencing is. It's just humanizing work and humanizing the way we show up in the world.
Well, see, and I really love this topic because there's this huge fad right now of you need to be authentic.
I know.
And people are being quote unquote authentic by being so vulgar and so crass. I'm like, that is not your best self. You need to be your best self. Be the version of yourself where you're like, if you love your mom and you love being around your mom, talk the way you talk to your mom and you joke with your mom, right? If you don't have a parental figure, it's how you talk with your friends who genuinely care about you when you're a good person. Because I've watched so many of these people, and I'm not going to throw out any big names because we all know who they are, but I like them as business owners, but they think being authentic means cursing every 2 seconds. And quite honestly, it's just a huge put off to most people, and it attracts the people who do that, but they're not actually being authentic, right? Because authentic is being a good human, in my opinion. It's being the best version of yourself. That's why I like your brand. I think you do such a good job of that.
Oh, well, thank you. And that's, I mean, Improve It is really all about allowing people to be the best versions of themselves at work. And I agree with you. That word authenticity, I've said it 3 times. It, in my mind, there's like the buzzword. It's like when boss babe and boss blah blah, all that stuff.
Right.
Girl boss was a big fad. It is the buzzword right now.
Right.
However, I was preaching about this before it was a buzzword, because what I love to see is when teams of people walk in, 20 different individuals, and then they walk out one cohesive ensemble, one cohesive group, because we got them to break down the barrier of this. I am a person at work. I wear a business blazer and heel and come in. And some of the most beautiful things, I would not wish the past 2 years on anyone, but some of the most beautiful things I've witnessed as a result of the pandemic is the fact that we got to see people's homes on, because a lot of companies were, and still are now, working from home over the past 2 years. We get to see their pets. We get to see what's behind them. We get to see their children. We get to see what their life is like when they don't have this amazing office with a view and, this beautiful power suit. It's actually quite refreshing, and it humanizes work, which is what I want people to feel when they show up at work. Is like they feel valued, they feel seen, they feel heard. And you can't do that by hiding behind a facade of professionalism. You just can't.
Yeah. Get off your throne and get down in with other people, experience.
Yes.
Cause like to me, I love in-person interaction. I do love Zoom. I'm one of those guys. I actually really enjoyed Zoom calls because to
Yeah.
me, it's kind of an efficiency thing. I don't know if that's the case, but because I'm not a very efficient person, but it's an opportunity to meet, to network, to be around other people. But I have found that the most lasting relationships in business are the ones where you went and played together. You did something fun. You
Yes.
laughed together. Because we have this little mastermind with there's 3 of us. We're all just good friends in the space. Nobody's paying each other anything. It's literally just, hey, we're friends. We meet once a week, and that has been because we've just played together. We've had fun. We've gone on trips. We've done other things. And that's what to me forms those lasting bonds. And these other 2 guys are also very successful guys, and so it allows all of us to lift each other at the same time. And I think what you guys are doing is allowing the facilitation of that for people in a way that is going to kind of bring them out of their comfort zones too. Because that seems to be, because improv, like to me, anything acting related actually makes me really nervous.
Yeah.
I've gone through a couple of those things and felt like such an idiot in those things.
Oh my God,
But
wait, can I tell you that? I was so nervous too when I first started doing it. I literally was. And I had what I always say this in a workshop. I'm like, if you have the ick factor, which is where your armpits are really sweaty and you feel really gross inside of your skin, that's okay. That's okay. It's normal, right? And I actually, so I grew up singing. Not well, but singing, dancing. I danced my whole life. I was an actor with a script. I did a lot of sketch comedy before I became an improviser. Improv terrified me because I'm a type A person. I was so used to that control. Rehearse, practice, be the best, right? So it terrified me when I first started doing it, which was in my early 20s. And shocker, getting down to my 30s soon. So, it is truly an art form that the more you do it and the more you expose yourself to it, the more addictive it becomes. Because once you allow yourself to let go of those inhibitions, to really focus and listen in the moment, it is like therapy. It is so freeing, but it is nerve wracking to so many people because they're afraid of what's going to happen. But I always say this, you and I, right now, Josh, I got zero clue what you're going to throw at me. You don't even know what I'm going to say next. We are improvising.
right.
Every single day, every conversation is improv. It's just giving it a label that scares people. And it is allowing ourselves to really go back to that form of play. Like you said, you had a son who's like, what, 9 months, 9 months,
7 months. Yep.
7 months, 7 months. Okay, I have a 2.5-year-old, and it's like watching him on a daily basis. I'm like, wow, when do we lose this ability to just play? And he'll make up songs and he laughs and just is so silly. And we lose that along the way. And it's like when you regain it, it's the most freeing thing. It's so
Right.
freeing.
See, and I saw this study that I can't remember who it was who put it on, but it was so interesting because it talked about from the generation that texting started, right? I think my
Oh,
generation was probably one of the first that really started texting, with our Nokia phones
yeah.
and with the T9, is that what it's called? T9 texting.
Oh,
Um,
God.
right.
Took
What,
so much time. So much time.
yeah, but what's interesting is that evolution of that. They've shown that we've become so much less capable of having a conversation because it's given us too long to think about a response that is
Mm,
politically correct or fits the situation. And I look at that and I can see that with podcasting. When people come into our world and they're like, okay, Josh, I want to be a better podcaster. I'm like, then stop thinking,
yeah. Yeah.
react, right?
That's it.
Yeah, you
Yep.
need to react to, like, when you're talking to your family, you're not sitting here thinking, okay, how do I respond to this in a way that's going to be politically correct, right? Just say what's on your mind. If it's not politically correct, apologize. Whatever you
That's
have to,
it.
whatever. It's, yeah, to me, I think when it comes down to being authentic, it's learning to stop trying to think ahead in the conversation and just saying, well, what do you do? What is it you're doing? Tell me about yourself. I have our whole team right now. We've been encouraging every member of our team to start a podcast because that's what we do. And it's been fun to work with them because there's this whole range of personalities who are, you have the type A's like you and me, right? Who are like, yeah, let's do it. And those are all the ones who are done, are already in it, failing and doing an amazing job, right? And then you have the other personality types who are sitting here analyzing it and concerned,
Yep.
like, okay, what questions do I ask? I'm like, that's a dumb question. You don't
Yep.
ask that one. Just go in and improv it, right? And that's easy for someone like you and I to say because we can do it better. But I am curious, this will be one of my last questions for you, is how would you recommend that to somebody who is concerned about talking with somebody successful and asking the right questions? How would you help them
Mm.
get out of that frame of mind?
I love that. Okay, so I got a really simple activity. Okay,
Love it.
so well, and I prepare for my show, the Improve It podcast. I prepare, but what I allow to happen is an activity actually that is rooted in improv. So I'm really listening to the end of every sentence that you're saying. So I can't pre-plan what my next thought is going to be because I'm listening for your last sentence.
Right.
So then what I do is and this is just for anybody, like have an outline. I would say generally, if it makes you nervous, have an outline, have, some questions in your back pocket. But if you really want the conversation to go somewhere, listen to the last sentence that somebody who's on the other receiving end says. Use that last sentence to formulate your next thought. So don't think ahead. Listen so intently that you allow that person to finish their thought. And then you can even start your sentence with their question. So it could be like, oh, well, how do I help somebody who may be nervous or, doesn't want to come off as inauthentic in their conversations? Well, I would just listen for the last sentence that they say, and I would use that to start my sentence because I'm actually taking the words that they've told me, I'm intaking them, which is actually allowing me to think as if I am you. What does your audience need? What does Josh's audience need right now? Oh, they need to know how to show up authentically and not be nervous or pre-plan. And then I'm able to give a response filtering through the lens of you, which is actually sort of empathy, if you will, because I'm putting myself in your shoes, thinking, okay, what does his audience need? What does he want them to know? And then I'm giving a response, but I'm not sitting here thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch. I'm not sitting here thinking, what is he going to ask me? How am I going to close the show? I'm so present in the moment. And then it's when we say that you are fumbling for words on stage as an improviser or you're sort of out of sync in the conversation, we call that being in your head. And it's the same as podcasting. It's the same as, having business conversations. When you are not fully focused on the other person, you are in your head, which takes you out of the conversation, which makes the person on the other end feel less important. If you can make the person across from you feel like they have a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important, they are going to remember that feeling and they are going to remember that moment and that conversation forever because people don't remember what you say. It's really about how you make them feel.
Yeah. Wow. See, and for me as a podcast host, I've interviewed like 1,500 people at this point. And so most answers don't surprise me at this point, and you get to a point where you just know what to ask because, right, well, what's the next question that would make logical sense in this conversation? But I have found that I will go off because people are talking. I've done it with you 4 or 5 times this conversation where you'll say something and it triggers a thought process in my mind and I do get distracted. And I would say don't beat yourself up over those things either, because at the end of the day, I feel like that's your spirit, whatever you want to call it, like processing information and accepting or denying it. And then if you have a moment where you aren't able to respond effectively, or you forgot what they were saying or something, it's okay to say, wow, you just set my brain off on a total tangent. So, and then ask the next question, ask something, another genuine curiosity. It can be a total 180-degree pivot. It's okay. Right? It's okay.
Yes.
You're not the worst in the set.
No, and you can take notes. Like you can take, I always, when I'm interviewing, have a little, I always tell people too, it's on my phone. I have notes on my phone. So I'm like, I'm not texting. I'm just writing down things people say. So especially if like you said, they trigger a thought, I'll write down that thought, or I'll write down something really awesome that they said that I can come back to later. But it is really, I'm not taking myself out of that conversation. I'm just allowing myself to have that moment and to come back to it later. And I don't beat myself up for it if I do go off track, because I do too. Everybody does. It's like such a human thing.
Right. And it's okay to do that, especially on a show.
Yes.
You own the show.
That's it.
Oh man. Well, I love that. And so I do want to just point this out to everybody. Make sure if you're feeling like this is something that you struggle with, first off, listen to this episode again. Listen to it over and over and over again. I think Erin gave so many really valuable tips for those of you who are saying, I'm the guy with a stick up my butt. I'm the girl who really struggles speaking up in a conversation, right? That's what needs to happen for you. Is you need to come in, you need to listen to it again, take notes, apply these things to your life, and then go check out, it's learntoimproveit.com. And this is where Erin runs these workshops that are fantastic. She's kind of been mentioning it here or there, but I probably should have dove deeper into that, but we were having a good conversation. So these events are to help you to learn how to be better at these sort of conversations. So I would hope that all of you would go check that out. Go join one of her workshops. There are virtual ones too. And if you are like me and you're getting addicted to going to the live workshops, events, whatever, go join a live one. And then Erin, I want to ask you, just before we sign off, can you give our audience just one final parting piece of guidance?
Yes. And thank you so much. Here's my ask. And this is literally what we say at the end of everything that we do, whether it's a laugh break, a virtual workshop, or an in-person workshop. If this episode caused you to feel some laughter, some levity, some positivity in any way, shape, or form, just share some laughter, levity, and positivity with somebody else today. The world needs more of it. So pass it on. We give to you, you give it to others. And that is literally, it could be an act of kindness. It could be as simple as opening the door for somebody, telling somebody you think they look great today. Just pay it forward and share more love, give more love.